Okay, hello everyone. My name is Emily Casella, and today I'm going to be talking about my latest art series, which is called The Delicious Space Between Me and You, cross out, I mean food, which is a body of work that I made for a cafe in Valparaiso, a market and cafe called Roots, which has a lot of organic, vegan, and vegetarian food, smoothies, bowls, juices, a fun a fun restaurant where we've been going to for quite a lot, quite many, almost, over 10 years now since it's open. So I was very pleased when I was able to talk with Marissa to put on this show, um, and create pieces for it. So with this show, I wanted to be more fun. I came off of last year doing finishing my very large solo show that was very emotional based pieces, very heavy in topic, but also kind of light. But I wanted this to be something that um people would like to have perhaps in their house, that would work with the cafe's theme and the vibe of the place. I also wanted to be affordable for people to be able to buy. And I also wanted to just kind of have fun with it. And really kind of I never really done a series like this ever. I'm very much like a one conceptual thing on a large scale object and pushing all of the theme and story into one thing. This I was like, let's challenge myself to make a multiple series, which I'm not even sure if it's really a series that, I mean, you'll see how it goes, but let's get on with it, really. So I'm gonna start with this piece. So all of these were made this year between January and March, I believe. I don't think there's any that was made in April because I had to get them framed. So it was very much a quick turnaround, and most of these pieces were I did in a day, and maybe within a couple of hours, or maybe I'd start it a couple of hours one day and then continue and finish it the next a different day. So you'll see the different days, and some of them were two a day, some of them were not. I just really kind of challenged myself to make these small, and I have a bunch of these 8 by 10 mats, and I was like, let me see if I can make a bunch of these to fit my mats that I have. So that was also a challenge to do something quite small, as well. So here we have I and pie. And so the delicious space between me and you, I mean food. I wanted to make it food, but I also wanted to kind of talk about our relationship to food or each other, because I'm always very interested in human relations for most of my artwork and how we perceive each other, but also individuals. So I started this presentation off with the I and pie because it really shows, kind of the fun and whimsy that this will have. It also, this was made January 1st, so the first of the new year. And you can kind of tell that by how snowy it is in the back. Since we live in the North Hemisphere, it's snowy in January. But this is all color pencils, and all of these you'll see are color pencils except for a few offsets that were in watercolors. So with this, I wanted to also kind of challenge myself to make realistic looking objects. So with this, I was interested in the pie, and then this person appeared to look at it, and I like that relationship between them looking at the pie with the same kind of eyes color as the object that they're looking at, which is something I do with some pieces that have multiple um, subjects that are interacting with each other. To indicate who's looking at who, I will put the color of eye matching the subject that they're looking at. This was an early one, and you'll see this one's actually was made in December. And I was thinking about turnips a lot, and I tried to make a turnip pie during Thanksgiving, and then I made a turnip on the wheel in ceramics when I was demoing for students, and so I became kind of fascinated with turnips, and I don't even know why. But I called this turn lips, which is a fun phrase to say. So a lot of these titles are kind of fun phrases that kind of a little bit cheeky, roll off the tongue feel to them. So a lot of these I don't have too much to say about them, so I'm not gonna waffle on. But it was just the kind of first iteration of what I was going to be doing for the next 3 months. And just experimenting with the colored pencils and what they could do and getting different textures coming out from them. Then I was like, okay, well, do I want this to be like a normal, like still life endeavor with foods? And spoiler alert, that is not the case. But I did try to make quote unquote normal images, and so this is about as normal as I can get with apples. My sister likes apples, and I was like, you know, I think it's four. My family's a family of four, so I thought that was cute. And I thought maybe this would be something that people would like to have hanging in their space. Then I was like, okay, I really don't want to make a bunch of fruits and vegetables for this whole series. I'm like, I couldn't be bothered. So then I was like, okay, well, what can I do that's kind of interesting with them? And then I was like, okay, let me see. And this is, at the beginning. So it's all like I'm still kind of thinking about what I wanted to do and what I was interested in making. And so I have, well, fruits. I don't really know, but I did like this celery, and I also like the blueberries, and we're gonna get into blueberries in a little bit. But I was like, this is a kind of interesting sculptural composition, and it'd be kind of cool to make in ceramics maybe in the future. But and then we have like some carrots, and then having this like anti-gravity things happening with these fruits and vegetables. But I really was interested in the celery and how the orange interacted with it at the end. So you'll see where that goes as we go along. Then this one popped out, and this was actually in February 2nd, I believe. But this was Duck and Berries. And this was like a turning point because I'm like, oh wait, this is actually kind of cool. And I really thought people would like this. And I made some prints of this one. So all these are in the show are original drawings. And I did a market where I was kind of advertising this show. And I made some prints of this because I thought people really, really enjoy these prints. But there was something so interesting from the strawberries and blueberries. I became obsessed with how the blueberries turned out. And they were just so fun to draw, and like how the different colors interacted with, within the blueberry. And the strawberries look, this is on the presentation, but in real life, the strawberries kind of, you know, pop off amazingly with on the actual mat. And I was really interested in that. And then also playing with the mat with the ducks in which the fruit are going into. Now there's a game on that was from Arthur that was called like Duck and Goose, and they had to eat these berries, and I'm sure that's probably where it came from when I was in my subconscious. But I just really, I still think this is amazing. Like this is, it's very pleasing to look at, and there's something different, and I'm gonna see if I could do something more with it in the future. But wouldn't that be like amazing if it was massive and that would be, I think that'd just be really cool. So that was a turning point with my kind of being more free and just being more whimsical with my pieces. And then this was a smoothly home. I was also interested in like, okay, it's a place that sells smoothies and juices, and I love smoothies and juices. So it's like, let me kind of do something with that and also challenge myself to be a little bit more realistic with it and also see what kind of interesting combinations I could have with the color pencils. And so that really is what came out of this one. This one was in January. And this was also like the ducks, where it's like, oh, this is actually going somewhere that's intriguing and vibrant and different. I just think that's a beautiful combination. And then also having this vibrant color with the thick application of the color pencils behind it to create the background is something that I would carry through to other pieces as well. Then this is one of my favorites as well, which is look at asparagus. We should look at this and revel in its amazingness of this person just looking at this celery stalk. again, I incorporated using the mat and like this white mat that kind of almost matches the color of the smooth Bristol board. It's just so beautiful, I think. And the space, right? And that's when I really became interested in this idea of the space between me and you, because this guy is looking at the asparagus. Is the asparagus looking back at him or not? And then you have like this interesting quarrel that comes and it brings them even closer together. So there's like this tension between both of the subjects. And then also kind of letting go and having these things kind of taper off into the ether was quite interesting. And I did a few people like this. And I really do enjoy how these color combinations went. I really let myself be free when I was doing this and just experimenting. I think it turned out great. It's one of my favorites. And then we have Broccoli and Me, which is probably the most autobiographical out of all of them. You always have one of those um, pieces that you make where it's like, oh yes, this is something that only you could love, really. And I mean, I the expression that this person has to this broccoli is me to this piece. I mean, it's just there's so much wonderment and enjoyment, and I enjoy the colors of the person's clothing and skin and hair. And then this, I mean, and you can't really see this in this PowerPoint, but if you look at the broccoli in real life, it's textured and three-dimensional, and it looks like you just grabbed it off the page. So I was really pleased with how this one turned out. I just think it's so much fun, and I really want to try and push myself to sell pieces, but I'm like, this one is like the one that I would want to keep, I think, forever, unless somebody really wanted it. But it's, we always have a piece that seems too personal, you know, and that's probably the ones you should keep, really. Then we have Celery Girl. Again, kind of a self-portrait, but also more mysterious than I really ever am, or perhaps think I am. But I really brought back the celery from that well fruits piece, and I liked how the celery became translucent in that other image. And so I played with that and kind of blending the person behind the celery stalks, and then you don't really quite know where the foreground or the background is. You have this kind of shoulder here, but then you have this person who's half cut off, peeking through the celeries, but like what are the celeries on? So it's and then you have this striking eye, and then it's really like nicely textured eyebrow going on. So I really enjoy this one. I think it's striking. Again, I'm not sure who would want this piece, but I mean, I would if somebody had this in their house, I think it'd be pretty cool. Or mysterious. It's a very mysterious piece. And probably too cool than um that we could be in everyday life, really. Then we have Adult Single, which was also made January 1st of 2024. And this one was interesting because again, it kind of has this space between these two objects, which also the celery girl has that, a lot of space in between as well. But this again was me challenging myself to make like delicious looking pastries. And so we have this kind of savory pastry going on here on this beautiful napkin, which then is replicated on the mat itself. And then I was like, when would you have this beautiful pastry? And I was like, well, you're waiting for a train to come by. So I put this adult single January 1st of 2024, and then like T for train, but also for table. And I thought that was kind of cute. Again, trying to think of what would people may want to have hanging in their kitchen or something, or on the go. Trying to think of those things. I don't think I came to any solid conclusions about that, but just playing around with it, also playing with how heavy or light the application of the color pencils were on it. Then we have the next four sets of things, which had to do with lips and smoothies and drinking them. So this is Swell Me Up to the Star Lip, and this was made in February. I just think they're amazing, and we'll go through them. This was really kind of a breaking point for just my enjoyment of making these pieces. I really like the lips. This was actually like stars inside the lip, and then it has these swirls of chocolate and strawberry coming through, but that also has like this interesting pattern on the glass that kind of looks like teeth. So a fun piece altogether. Then we got orange lip shake, which if you notice, they are two, 1 day apart, these two. And so this one, I challenged myself to make realistic lips and then also kind of an interesting drink situation. Cute whipped cream with like nuts on top, and then you have this mysterious glass, like an old-fashioned glass, and then you have this very striking lip color, orange lip. And then you have this, oh wait, I also love how the magenta turns into the purple. And then I tried to make a um, soft skin tone, and then it just drifts away. Again, I think just like the ducks, this one, the ducks with berries, this one utilizing the striking white background makes it feel very um refined and almost like a commercially type of art piece that you could see on a poster. And I did make a few prints of this one just to sell at that market. And though people liked it, I'm gonna, after this is over, I'll sell some the remaining of those prints on my shop. But I just think people would like to have this. I think it's really striking as something that people could really want to have in their living space. Then I did a double sip, thinking about the space between the two, and then almost of them like fighting over this cucumber smoothie. Or they could be having a secret conversation, and then this drink just happens to be there listening to what they're saying. So there's many different ways. And I also, flip-flopped the colors on it, and I do think they're quite striking. The whole thing with the colored pencils is very vibrant. The pink goes well with the yellow and the blue. And then we have two different styles of lips, right? We have a more fuller lip to the edge, and then we have a more traditional lip on this side. Then we have red lip shake, which was also another iteration of this, except it with strawberries, bringing back that strawberry and then that vibrant lip and this glass. I just think they're very beautiful and striking, and I would like to stare at them forever. Then this one was later in the time. I was trying to give myself like 30 images that I could play with. So this one came in a little bit later, almost out of desperation. But this fella showed up, kind of pulling the lip to the side, just a little different shape. And then again, bring the blueberries. Just a different thing, thinking about the whole person as opposed to a stark white background. And it does change things a lot. Then I also had Table for Two, which was quite interesting and also a different endeavor. I have these almost like pyramids in the background, and you have these grapes. Some people think they're olives. And then you have like these two trees, like an olive tree, or, so, we have those things going on. And again, just playing with the motion of the colored pencils, and then also different applications of the colored pencils, like on these doilies, very patternized and strokes as opposed to the smoothness of that, and then you have a thin in the background. Then we have Table for One. Table for One, we have this glass, and I was like, let me try to draw this glass. And so I did, and I also have this like pyramid thing in the back, and you think about like looking at this, thinking of traveling. We went to Paris and London 11 years ago. So it's like that kind of reminds me of that. It's a little bit nostalgic, but also, you could be anywhere really. So I thought that might also be something people might like to have in their house. Then I have Is Three a Crowd or Just a Group? And they have this is also a later one. Yeah, in March 21st. So again, I was just trying to, I had to wanted to make a few more things, but this one really turned out nice with the croissant and cupcake, and then the tea with the swirls. And just thinking about objects as people, inanimate objects, but you know, they also have conversations with themselves. And posing the question, is three a crowd or is it just a group? You know, because sometimes you're in situations where there's three people and sometimes it works out well. And then sometimes you're like, well, am I just here out of default? And those types of things. Like which one's the default? Is it the tea? Is it cupcake and croissant talking? Is it croissant and tea talking? You know, there's many different triangulars ways that could happen with a group like that. Then we have another three pair, which is icy. I took this lip and then I want to draw this popsicle, and then I threw in this orange. You know, it's kind of interesting. It does look delicious to eat though, I must say. But again, playing with these conversations between the three, like, is this the backdrop? Are they on top of it? Are they speaking over one another? Playing with those types of thoughts. This was also a later one, the new obsession, and this one was made, I think, the day after or before this piece. The new obsession, people love avocado toast. So I was like, well, maybe somebody would want to buy one of those. And then the purple hand appeared because I can't make, like I was saying earlier, I can't make things too terribly normal. But I tried very hard with this one in terms of making it realistic and you wanting to eat it. I personally don't like avocado or tomatoes, but they do look delicious here, and I can imagine them tasting like something other than what they are. But also, you know, I have like this cream cheese spread on the bread. You could, I mean, you could really feel the different textures, like the hard of the bread, the soft of the avocado. I always think it's a cute one. You could imagine somebody just saying, "I would like that, please," and then getting back from a restaurant. Then we have counter jams. This one is again is in the pairs of threes, groupings of threes. I don't know how I feel about this one. Uh, I don't, you know, I tried to make it more like you know, a trendy countertop, like people like those marble countertops, a very stark, you know, countertop. And then thinking about like these ceramic-esque, I don't know, is it a pepper shaker? What is this? You know, and then you have like this jam jar. And I was just playing with colors. I'm not really sure about this one either, but I thought somebody might want it for their kitchen. Oh, and then I kind of lost all sanity a little bit with, and then he said, where we have these two vegetables talking to each other. I got some books, like reference books from the library, to give me some vegetables to play with, so we'll see a few of those coming up here. But I was interested in the squashes, and also when I drew the leaves, it really was like, oh, these are very animated leaves, and like, you know, somebody's talking about some situation, you know, when you're re-encountering a story. And I was like, oh yes, you know, that kind of motion. And then you have this other person listening. And so I drew these little eyes on them to so they could have a talk. And then again, you know, the space between the two are very close, but also like the space between this and the mat, you know, making a very intimate and closed off scene. And then he said at the bottom. And then we have two pigeons. Now, this is one of the watercolors. This one, again, may not relate too much with the food, but there was a hedge. And if you know anything about my art, I love a good hedge. I've made two massive 5-foot wooden hedges and lugged them around with some of my art installations. And so and I do love pigeons. So, and you will see those a little bit more. So I made these two as an exercise to practice with the watercolors, because I got a watercolor set from my dad for Christmas. So I was like, let me try them out. But I also, there is colored pencils with that as well. So I got these two little pigeons being cute and snuggly. Then this is also experimental with watercolor, but people seem to like this one a lot, which is snail. there's a snail here on this plant. Just an experiment. I do like how the colors turned out. The watercolor set is very pigmented and beautiful. And then I also did these glass flowers. So I don't really do too much with watercolor prior to this. So I've been experimenting more with those. But I do like these glass flowers. You could ring them, but they also look like, you know, they'd be delicious to eat, like a sugar crystal, you know, type of deal. Then we have the celery forest. So I was like, ooh, that would be fun to walk through if you were like a small ant. Like what is it like to um be a small bug and crawl through rows of like a vegetable garden patch? And so this is also dark and mysterious, and we do have some more dark and mysterious things coming up next. Then we have ants. And so I drew out this person and I like the way that they were sitting, and I was like, what could they be looking at? And then I when I was younger, when I was like a child, I liked drawing ants a lot for some reason. And so I was like, that's kind of fun. Let's try that again. So I had these ants doing all these things. One's on a laptop. So it's kind of like you're watching over, humanity. There's a little pin, some rocks. They're like talking to each other. So a very, just watching other people interact with each other. I kept playing around with that, watching others do their thing as they go around the world. Then this one also appeared. It's If it's cried, I can rest. Again, I'm not too sure if it goes with the whole theme, but it was very relaxing to me, you know, to look at. It's very, it's like, you can just kind of relax. I'm not sure what this was going to do. I think it has a life somewhere else, but it's still very interesting. And I drew it on black paper. So I wanted to experiment also with the color pencils on a dark background, and they worked out okay. The oranges came out nice. So again, just an experiment. Then we have dark roots. So this was another one that came from a reference book I got from the library for a black, oh, is it a turnip or I forget what the root vegetable it is. It's not, I don't think it's a turnip, it's something else that I can't remember at the time. But it's pure black, the root vegetable. And then I was like, well, how can I do that in some more cool toned colors? And then we've got this beautiful object, and then I drew an eye next to it. So, again, bringing back that human touch to it, playing off of each other, I think is quite pretty. Then I did another eye, this is blue eyes, and then I brought back the blueberries, and that was a lot of fun. Very interesting. I like how the teardrop goes up into the sky. I just love this one. It's a very solid piece. Yeah, I wanted to bring more blueberries, and I was like, well, what if we had an eye that was also trying to be a blueberry? And so I kind of went with that. And also, really, I do love how solid the under eyelid looks. It's like its own sculptural element. And then I have a few things that are made out of ceramics that I made for this, and one of it was the blueberry bird feeder. And so I just like the turnip, I became obsessed with like fruits and vegetables for my students demos that I was doing for them. So I made this blueberry that looks like it's eaten. On the other side there's actually two holes. So I thought somebody could put bird seed in it and then birds could go inside. And then I was like, I want to have two photographs. And my mom got this vegetable called, I think, broccolini or something like that, which are it's like a broccoli shape, but it's almost like a cabbage, but they have really beautiful spirals in it. So I was like, how could I make something that interacts with each other? So you have like these two almonds that are talking to each other. Then you have like these two broccolini things, and then you have these guys up here, which I've turned the celery into a bench. So I kind of think of it as a like it's looking oh this is the other one's called the overpass, but this is in this encampment, but it's almost like they're looking over upon the scene. This feels very nostalgic to me, like old 80s and 90s photographs, which I've never done before. But you know, like those studio photographs that you would see, and also like the I Spy photographer where he would set up these little things. So it feels very nostalgic. And then I did this one, the overpass. Again, same theme, just different composition. And then the broccolini shines more through. I think that's what it is. If not, you know, I'll put in what it is at, you know, later. But you can really see how it creates these rivets, spirals, the spiral pattern just by growing like that. And they're hard. Um, like a not a cabbage, but a a cauliflower. It's like the texture of a cauliflower. Then I made an asparagus chime, which does sound beautiful and hangs it hangs like a normal chime. And then I experimented with making a hanging piece, which I do enjoy a lot, and I think I'm gonna do more of them in the future with vegetables or fruits or something vibrantly colored because it is very cool to make. So I have a few of those, and there's like a hedge, like a fake greenery hedge at Roots, and so those are hanging up on it, and this is hanging next to a window. So there's two experiments that I was quite pleased, and I was like, somebody might want to buy that. So that's what I did. I'm very pleased with them. And then I also have these two new pigeons, the yoga pigeon and the pigeon with a bowl. So you can't see it in this photograph, but he's holding a tiny spoon and a bowl, and this pigeon, you know, is very textured and detailed. This yoga pigeon's ready to go. So I thought people that um frequent the Roots Cafe would be somebody who's just coming off from their yoga in the morning, grabbing their smoothie, and then they have smoothie bowls there as well. So I thought that would, and they also have like vegetable bowls and different like Thai bowls and things that you can get as well. So I just thought that would be fun, and they're so cute. And you know, I love them. I always love my little pigeons. And then I also made these food labelers because I was trying to think of something that I could make that would make sense. And then I was like, well, maybe people would like to create food labels for like if they have like a party where they have a bunch of um different objects, and they could use the food labelers to let people know if something's vegetarian, nut-free, vegan, or gluten-free. And then if you got like a bunch of these, then you can make a set or a scene on your table, and I thought that was a cool concept. So this was my first try for them, and yeah, so that's, you know, I had a lot of fun with this project. It was something totally different, and it really challenged me to think outside the box on how I usually make art because I never usually make stuff so quickly. But I'm pretty pleased with how everything turned out. I think feel like they're a solid grouping. So you can see this show, the Roots show, until June 20th, and then June 20th is the reception. So if you want to come out to see that, that is the day to do it. It's the closing one. And if you want to purchase any of the ceramics that are hanging on the wall, the pigeons, or the color pencil drawings, you can do that at my shop, which I will link to. And then these guys are exclusive right now at Roots, so you have to go and pay for them at Roots to get one. So if you have any questions or you want any of these pieces, you can always email me at Emily J, the letter J, and then Casella.com. And then you can get one of these pieces for your collection as well. Until next time, bye-bye.